TG Geeks, episode 295, October 20th, October 12th.
Hello.
2020. Just what in the heck is a white trash warlock? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane. We're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, where it's only supposed to get to 97 today.
Oh my God, will it actually actually stop the record?
Exactly.
Of consecutive days over 100? That'd be a miracle.
Yeah.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from TG Squared Studios, a.k.a. Internet Hell.
Oh my God.
Here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes. Let's get right on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, if the internet holds out, we will be discussing several things.
Yeah.
We're having just all kinds of weirdness with our Cox Communications internet service. Hear that?
Yeah.
Come fix it.
Now.
Well, anyway, we're going to talk to David R. Slayton, who is the author of White Trash Warlock.
This was a great conversation.
Oh my gosh,
we had so much fun.
So much fun. I mean, we had that day, we did four different interviews.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
We did the round table that we ran here a couple of weeks ago. We talked to Katie Edwards. We talked to Gregory Ash.
And now
we talked
the
to
final
David
one.
Slayton. And we were holding on to this because his book is being released tomorrow. Today, if you're listening on Krypton Radio, but on Tuesday the 13th is when it's being released. So we're going to talk about that book and get to know David a little bit better. Have our birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, everyone's favorite feedback, including Gregory Ash's, and our shout-outs, our second segment. We have a couple of things that we might be talking about, our weekly recap, and our regular shout-outs. So let's get on with the interview. And this time we have another author for you to listen to as we grill him. His name is David R. Slayton. He is an author, and we're going to find out where he started and how he got into writing. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you for having me on, guys.
Yeah. So, and you might want to move your headset, your microphone a little bit closer to your mouth. So
there we go. How's that?
There, that's perfect. That's what we heard earlier. Perfect. So, David, tell us who you are. As I am fond of saying, give us the elevator pitch as if you're going to the top of the Empire State Building of your life. And where
stopping at every floor.
Where you came from and how you got into writing.
So I'm David R. Slayton. I'm originally from Guthrie, Oklahoma. And then some years ago, I moved to Denver. And growing up in the time and place that I did, I could never find fantasy novels with gay characters, people like me. So I started writing them, essentially. And now I live in Denver, and I write urban fantasy. My debut, White Trash Warlock, is out October 13th from Blackstone Publishing in ebook, print, and audio. And I have a few epic series that we're shopping, but I'll be definitely starting out in the urban space.
When did you start writing? Roughly what year?
Oh, geez. I was trying when I was a young teenager, to write either a Star Trek or a Star Wars novel.
Oh, who wasn't as a teen? I did.
Well, and those were some Yeah, those were some of the best fandoms in Escape. They were a great way to kind of get out of my head, and I devoured Star Trek books. I grew up in a very religious household. My mother wouldn't let us watch TV or listen to the radio, but she had her own sort of soft spot for Star Trek, so she would buy me Star Trek novels. So I devoured those things whenever I could get them.
Interesting. Especially for us, because very young closeted gay kid growing up in a conservative town. Star Trek was like the great escape because it presents as utopia where you think, I mean, even though you didn't see any gay representation, you still saw this better ideal. So yeah, that was something that was easily getting into. Anyway, the reason I mentioned, asking, year is because now you can go onto like Amazon and it's like there's this huge market for gay fiction, whether it be just real world fiction or gay fantasy or gay sci-fi. I mean, my Kindle explodeth because there is so much gay content out, wonderful, positive LGBTQ content out there for writers.
There is, and books like Katie Edwards' The Last Son, seeing an urban fantasy who has that angle in it, and that's where White Trash Warlock started. Was I wanted to write something urban, but mine is actually more rural, right? It takes place a lot more in Oklahoma than it does in Denver, and I still have a hard time finding positive representation in epic fantasy with a main character. So it is much better than it was when I was a kid, but there are still a lot of gaps, and I'm hoping that I'm writing the books that somebody out there needs or really wants to read. That's who I'm writing to.
Cool.
Fair enough.
So you said that your debut novel is the White Trash Warlock, and that's out in October. So tell us about that book, and where are you? Is it done? Is it the publisher, or are you still finishing it up, or?
Oh, it's done. Book 2 is done. I'm a third of the way through book 3 now.
Oh my Lord!
Good heavens, you're a worker.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
I am.
Even before the first book is out.
Yeah, I've been at this for a while. So I have a couple of epic series my agent's currently shopping. I have a mystery out there. I feel it's important as an author to try to stretch yourself into other genres. I learn a lot from reading mystery novels, for example, when I even tried my hand at a romantic suspense or a rom-com. I feel like it's important to stretch and flex a little bit, see what else is out there and explore other forms and tropes. But White Trash Warlock is done. They're currently recording the audiobook, which is incredible. I get same-day audio release because Blackstone started out as an audio publisher.
Wow.
They moved into print about 4 years ago.
That is cool.
Nice, because I love listening to audiobooks when I'm working.
We have a friend who's an agent, actually is Katie Edwards' agent, and we were talking to her, and she told us that we are
we're the ideal audience.
The ideal audience, because we will buy each a copy for our Kindle, plus probably a copy hardback and the audiobook. So we buy everything.
Sarah quite a bit. Yeah. She's friends with my agent, and actually they're friendly. And they're both here in the Colorado area.
Right,
so
yeah.
They're on panels and stuff.
Cool. So tell us, I mean, obviously you don't want to go into too much details, but give us just a little bit of an overview, for anybody who's interested in maybe picking up White Trash Warlock. What's that all about?
Sure. So Warlock is a little bit of a bait and switch, I'm finding, as the reviews and stuff come in. The title makes it seem like it's going to be more comedic than it is. And it is a funny book. It will make you laugh, but it is a darker book when it comes to family narrative and issues. And you mentioned Katie Edwards, and he was kind enough to blurb me, and I have to admit that I squeed just a little bit when that came in. Actually, not just a little bit, quite loudly. That was very kind of him. But White Trash Warlock is about a young man named Adam Binder. He's living in a trailer park in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and trying to find his father, who's been missing for a while. He doesn't know where his magic comes from, but he knows that it comes from his father's side. He's estranged from his mother and older brother, who put him into a mental institution when he was a teenager.
Oh, dear.
Because they thought the voices he was hearing were, signs of mental illness, but they were the magic, the other side leaking through. And now, years later, estranged, his brother in Denver has a problem. His brother's a doctor. He has the ideal suburban life. He drives an Audi, and he lives in a neighborhood called Highlands Ranch. And if you're familiar with Denver, that alone tells you a lot about him. And his wife, though, is acting very strangely. She's become possessed. Ooh. And when Bobby, the older brother, realizes, okay, this isn't just something medical or something mental, maybe Adam was right, then he has to reach out to Adam for help. And Adam goes to Denver to assist, and maybe a little bit to say, I told you so, and finds that the situation in Denver is much, much worse than he imagined.
Mm. Oh, dear. Well, another book I have to add to my Kindle now.
Exactly.
Because that sounds like a really fascinating premise, because I love also the fact that you brought in mental health, because that's sort of, I don't say it's a hot topic now, but a lot of people are coming forward and talking about mental health issues. So it's really nice, even though your protagonist doesn't have mental health problems, at least based on your description. It's nice to see a book that is about that is open to talking about it.
That touches on it. Yeah.
It touches on the subject. I think that's a really, really great idea. Where did the idea come up? I mean, because you mentioned you're from Guthrie, so obviously the setting sort of informed it. But that's a that's a really unusual kind of plot, a story idea. I mean, is this because I know, like in my case, I mean, I was this kid, who was just writing a fanfic because I didn't know what else to do with my life. And I was projecting myself basically into these other characters. Is that something that you had done, or did this idea come from some external place?
So Guthrie, there's a Scottish Rite Masonic temple there with a lot of urban or rural myths around it. There are a lot of ghost stories. For example, I grew up in the woods on Lake Liberty. Oklahoma has a lot of reservoirs and lakes, and Lake Liberty is one of them. And there is a building called Dominion House, which I didn't even know about until after I'd written the book, by the way, that is supposed to be one of the most haunted places in America. So Guthrie is kind of steeped in urban myths or rural myths and ghost stories. For example, we had a lady in white. And I love telling the story because it's an absolute true story, and it just kills me every time. So growing up, just a half-a-mile walk from Lake Liberty in the woods in a trailer, people would always ask, "Oh, have you ever seen the lady in white?" And I would, we'd bus into town and go to school, and people would ask these questions. And this ghost story kind of seeped into my consciousness. So I was a very weird kid. I was kind of an insomniac, and I'd get up all hours and wander the trailer and look out the windows, and sometimes even go outside. And I would dream of her so bad that when I was a little kid, I would wet the bed because I dreamt she was pulling me under the water and drowning me.
Oh my God!
That's serious.
She was. She was this woman in a wedding dress, and that's how all lady in white myths go.
Yeah, it's kind of like Llorona. That's the Mexican or New Mexico. So
yeah,
fascinating.
She wanders waterways. She
exactly
on her wedding night. She wants a ride home. You get her home, and you find out that it's a shack or something because it's been many years. And when you look over, she's disappeared, and there's a puddle of water. That's usually how the myth goes. So I would dream of this, and it was steeped in. And then about 10 years ago, I went home and I was visiting my grandfather, and he was in his rocking chair, and he's rocking, and he says, "I remember your Aunt Karen when your uncle would go truck driving and she'd get lonely. And she'd smoke her marijuana and put on her wedding dress and wander down the lake."
Oh, my God.
And scare those teenagers. My aunt was a lady in white.
Oh, my God.
Okay, now I have to admit, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, my aunt Karen was a lady in white. So it's... And I was like, I had this, and that was exactly who she was. She had this very Stevie Nicks hippie wedding dress, and that's how I pictured the lady in white, because clearly I had been seeing her out the window, because it was my aunt stoned out of her mind wandering the woods at night.
Oh, God.
Well, while there's some demystifying that has just taken place here, at the same time, it's highly amusing.
So your mother went the religious way, and your aunt, I assume, was that your mother's sister or your dad's?
Oh, it was her younger brother's first wife. And they lived in a smaller trailer up the 3-acre plot we had with my grandparents. So we kind of had a family compound, which is funny because that's what my family has returned to in the Oklahoma woods. They have like a 10-acre compound with various trailers and shacks.
Wow, that is fascinating. I've heard that story. It sounds familiar. I won't say that, I can't remember who or where it came from, but I have heard something about the Lady in White, and in the Guthrie area, because I did have some family that did live there at one point. So
well, we're probably related, right?
Oh my God!
Who knows?
If we play 6 Degrees, we'll probably get there. Really.
It's very possible,
exactly.
which means that you probably related to the Lady in White, honey.
Oh, who knows?
You're related to a lady who put on her wedding dress and just smoked a lot of pot.
That is fascinating.
That is one of the best things I've ever heard. I love it.
Absolute true story.
Wow. So this book kind of takes place in that kind of, what shall I say?
Very
rural genre-esque thing. And then he goes to Denver and apparently saves the day. So I assume when you say white trash warlock, we're talking about the people that live in the trailers and don't have a whole lot,
like the trailer trash,
whole lot of money and all of that.
Yeah. And the book I make a real point in the book in breaking down both of those terms, white trash and warlock, what they actually mean. Now, there's a lot of misconception about the word warlock, for example, mostly thanks to the TV show Bewitched.
Right.
But white trash is, I come from that kind of family where we didn't have a lot of money, but my parents worked very hard, and my family worked very hard. And if you had called them white trash, they would have been very offended, because to them, white trash were people who didn't work, were lazy. They make it a class difference there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I dive into that quite a bit, because Adam does live in a trailer park with his elderly great aunt, does what he can to get by, but his life's been a little bit on hold ever since he got out of the institution, ever since he's been, a teenager. So he's in his early 20s, but he knows he's not quite where he should be. And the only relationship he had was during that time in the institution, when he would spirit walk at night, where he fell in love with an elf who then abandoned him, and he doesn't know why. And all of that will get resolved in the book as well.
Right.
I'm looking at your the entry for it on Amazon, and I see that it's the Adam Binder Novels Book 1. So clearly this is part of a big series. Most optimistic pitch here. How far do you see this series going?
I've got a rough sketch for 9 books. We're hoping to see where the first trilogy goes. I also have a spin-off series that I'm working on. My agent is just about hammering down my door, asking me to get a proposal for that finished. And so we're hoping to see that shopped around to Blackstone in the fall. But I can see 9 Adam books before I think I might be done telling his story. Maybe 6. I try to work in trilogy arcs, and I follow patterns of people like Shauna McGuire's October Day series, which is a really excellent model. And Shannon's a master plotter. She does such an amazing job of how she handles that umbrella with smaller arcs inside of it.
Interesting.
And that's how I envision Adam.
So you mentioned also a possible spinoff. So it looks like you're heavy into world building then.
I am. I started as an epic fantasy author. That's kind of my first love. So my brain is always about, how does the economic system work? How does transportation work? How does religion work? How does it factor in? And I started writing Warlock. Warlock is my most personal book. There's more of me and Adam than he is in any other character I've ever created. So he has, and it's been funny because some people in reviews have said, I really wish I'd had a trigger warning for some of the darker things in the book. Like there is a child abuse narrative. And it was an odd reaction in myself when I first read that comment. But this is just my life.
Right.
So that is, and it is good to warn people, though. There is the boys do grow up with a highly abusive father, and whether or not he is the druid that Adam is hunting is an important mystery that will be resolved in the series in book 2, Trailer Park Trickster. But it is definitely it is a funny book, but there are some dark elements to this book.
Now, you'd mentioned that there's a lot of you in the character of Adam. So now I got to ask that question then. Does Adam talk to you when you were writing this book? And of course, you said you're already developing and working on books 2 and 3. Do you find all of a sudden a little bit Adam, does he start kind of like speaking to you in the back of your mind, kind of nudging you one way or the other, and or what it is that he wants to say? Do you find that happening as a writer?
Not so much. I work in a close third-person perspective, but this is getting a little bit personal. So I am myself a little bit on the spectrum. I have a dissociative disorder, which means that emotionally my registers aren't the baseline or the normal, right? So you just heard a sad thing. Why aren't you crying? You just saw something. Why aren't you laughing, right? I'm kind of a stoic in that my responses. So right before I started deeply writing this book, I got involved with a therapist who was helping me kind of reconnect the emotional circuitry so that I could figure out, that's how a sad person feels that. So you'll notice there's a lot of bioenergetic or a lot of biology in the way Adam expresses emotions. And I had to sit there and think about, okay, I'm sad right now. How does that feel in my body? How does that? So there's a very mental process that went into it. So Adam doesn't talk to me because he has so much of my own emotions, my own responses in him. Some of my other characters in my epic fantasies, they do feel more like a third person, and it's often more like I'm watching a movie and just writing down what I'm watching.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a different take on the whole thing that we've talked about with other authors of how the characters speak to them. But I understand that, given what you just told us. But aren't we all sort of a little on the spectrum?
Yeah, welcome to the world.
Haven't we been pushed into certain little pigeonholes and boxes by the way we grew up? So I do understand that.
And again, I appreciate the fact that you bring that up too, especially if you can find some way to insert that into your books, because I think what that also does is it broadens the representation. I think because there are so many of us that are not normal in the way that we think. I mean, I sit on the spectrum. Plus, I deal with a couple of other mental issues, and to be able to see that, hey, there's a character there that's not only LGBTQ, but you know what? That guy, he's got stuff. His head's a bag full of cats, and yet he's making his way. I mean, that's the kind of representation that I think can really reach an incredibly wide audience and have such positive resonance. So I appreciate the fact that you've got the courage to actually put essentially yourself out there in that particular manner. I mean, hats off to you. I think that's a really wonderful thing. So the book will be coming out in October, as I see here. Where can people find that book when the time comes, and where can people also learn more about you?
So to find the book, it's available for pre-order everywhere, and you'll be able to find it anywhere. Barnes & Noble, your local independent bookshop. If you go to indiebound.com, they can help you find a local shop that'll stock it. If not, you can request it. You can pre-order it. It's up again in paper, ebook, on all platforms, and audio. Blackstone has a great service called Downpour. Of course, it's available at Audible too, if you're really into audio. And some place that a lot of people don't think that I think are so vital for authors or libraries. So if you're interested in checking it out, but I know times are a little rough and many of us are a little penny pinched right now, get it from your local library. Request it for them, please. And libraries are also a wonderful source now for audiobooks as well as ebooks.
Yeah.
And what about you? If you work in any social media presence that people can follow you on?
I am everywhere. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Those are the three I'm the most active on. I'm not on TikTok. I am a little bit on Tumblr, but not much. The best way to find me is just to Google David R. Slayton. Don't forget the R. There are a lot of David Slaytons out there, including a few scary Florida man types. So don't forget the R. And I love connecting with readers, and that's been one of the most rewarding things about this as we lead up to launch is some of the early reviewers and readers reaching out to me on Twitter and Instagram and getting to connect with them and seeing the book resonate with people. It's just been a joy.
Fantastic.
That is really wonderful. Thank you so much for being on our show this time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, this is Chuck Tomasi from the Technorama Podcast and author of Podcasting for Dummies, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
It really was a great
I had so much fun. And to find out you two might be related.
Well, that's certainly a possibility. You never know. How many removed, who knows?
I know, but still, I think if we go back far enough, we'll find a common ancestor.
Exactly. Well, here's a few selected birthdays for October 12th through October 18th, 2020. October 12th, Brian J. Smith. Actor, Sense8.
I love this guy.
Stargate Universe, an out-great gay man.
Yeah, just recently came out.
And he completed a 4-year program at the Juilliard School of Acting.
He's a very good actor, and while he does do movies and TV shows, I think his first love will be the stage.
Yeah. And then we have Rafe Fun Williams, composer, English composer influenced by Tudor music and English folk songs.
I like this guy.
He broke away from the German-dominated style of the 19th century and wrote across the spectrum of music from opera to sacred music. His 5 mystical songs plays on Met Opera Radio, and you sang...
I sang the Dona Nobis Pacem, which I adored. It was such a powerful piece of music.
Yeah, with Music Fest here.
Yeah.
His music is it's really incredible. I need to explore a little more of it.
It covers a great wide area in terms of music. I mean, there are moments where it becomes atonal, and you think it's going to start venturing into the area of 12-tone. And then it becomes unbelievably melodic with some gorgeous structure that I found his Dona Nobis Pacem to be one of the most enjoyable things that I've ever sang.
It brought tears to my eyes.
It brought tears to my eyes, and I was singing it.
Yeah. And then we have a friend of ours, Deborah Hildebrandt. October 13th, Paul Simon, musician, part of Simon and Garfunkel, and a solo artist. Solo artist as well. He defined like the 60s and 70s as so many.
He was a big influence.
Artists,
a huge influence
time period.
We had the pleasure of seeing Simon and Garfunkel during a reunion tour.
Oh my gosh, we were in the nosebleed seats. But,
I know, but still,
who cares?
Hey, we saw Simon and Garfunkel.
Exactly, it's about the music. And then we have Marie Osmond, musician, one of the Osmond family of singers. You want to say the Von Trapp family singers?
I know, really,
every single one of them, practically, has had a very interesting career, not only with her solo career, but with Donnie and Marie, and not only just in the entertainment business, but also as a businesswoman.
Yeah.
She had, was it 1999 or 97, she had a debilitating bout of postpartum depression. Oh, my God.
She got through it.
Yeah, she literally gave the baby and a credit card to the babysitter and drove off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And then her husband called her and brought her back. It was just, wow. It's unbelievable. Co-founded the Children's Miracle Network, supporter of the LGBTQ rights.
Big time supporter.
Her daughter Jessica is a lesbian and married her partner in 2019. And Marie announced on her Instagram that she had married her partner.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that's great.
Just beautiful.
October 4th, then we have Deanna Rausch and a good friend of ours, David Burkett.
Love
Happy
David.
Birthday, David. October 14th, Ben Whishaw, actor. He was in Skyfall, Cloud Atlas, Mary Poppins Returns. He was the youngest actor to play Q in James Bond film.
And he's also an out gay man.
Yes, out gay man. He met his husband on the set of The Bright Star, a movie that they were filming together. Then we have Justin Hayward, singer-songwriter, Moody Blues. Harry Anderson, actor slash musician.
Yeah.
Magician, sorry.
He was one of my heroes.
Night Court,
I loved Night Court.
It was
And the
wonderful.
guy's magic acts were just warped
Yep.
that he did with his wife. I mean, and his passing just came way too soon.
Yep. And then we have Roger Moore, actor, James Bond. Oh my gosh, he was like the James Bond for a while.
I think Die
Sean
Hard,
Connery and Roger Moore.
I think diehard Bond fans will look to Sean Connery as being Bond. But if you want to talk about James Bond really crossing over into pop culture, I think it's got to be during the Roger Moore years.
Yeah. And then we have good friend of ours, Mary Jean Starr. Happy birthday, Mary Jean. October 15th, Penny Marshall. Actress, director, Laverne and Shirley. Younger sister of Gary Marshall. And first female director to have a film achieve over $100 million.
I'm going to guess that'd be the movie Big.
Yeah,
with
well,
Tom
that
Hanks.
was way back. Yeah.
But it was huge. And
Yep.
she helped to, I won't say shatter that glass ceiling for female directors, but she certainly put a good crack in it.
Exactly. Then we have Mervyn LeRoy. He was director, Wizard of Oz, and Gypsy. Then Rasha Mohammed and Hector Alvarez, partner of Clint Berzoni. Mm-hmm. And he's having his birthday on October 15th. October 16th, Angela Lansbury will be 95.
My goodness.
Beauty and the Beast, Bed Sticks and Broom Knobs.
Yeah.
And who could forget Murder, She Wrote?
Oh, of course not. And she did, and interesting enough, we did watch a little bit. I mean, not with her, but we did watch a little bit of Sweeney Todd.
Yep.
And she did help originate the role of Mrs. Lovett.
Yep. And when they were filming Death on the Nile, on board ship,
Love that movie.
no one was allowed to have a dressing room by themselves. She shared a dressing room with Betty Davis and Maggie Smith.
Oh, my God. That's an explosive combination.
Exactly. And also on October 16th, Oscar Wilde, poet, playwright, gay man who was imprisoned simply for being
Sadly,
gay in the Edwardian era. There's an apocryphal story about the Queen Mother that they were walking along, and he was eyeing the page boys, and she scolded him and saying to him, "Oscar, dear, they count them before they put them out."
I want to say that's true.
I want to believe it's
I want to
true.
believe that.
Yep. Also on October 16th, A.J. Sloan and Gilead Artist. October 17th, Mark Gatiss, actor, writer, Sherlock, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He's written, oh my gosh, a lot of...
He did a lot of Doctor Who
novels
when
and-
Stephen Moffat
Yep.
was running the show.
And also written a bunch of Doctor Who novels.
Yeah.
And, whatnot.
I don't think he's got any much to do with Doctor Who these days. I mean, he might be doing stuff on the book side of things, but I don't think he's doing anything in terms of the show at this point, now that Moffat has left.
Yep. And then Cameron McIntosh, theatrical producer.
Yeah.
Most noted for Les Mis and Phantom of the Opera, two of the longest running shows ever. And then a good friend of ours, Monty Yazzie from Phoenix Film Festival. And especially good friend, Neil Halford. Happy birthday, Neil. October 18th, Don Wells. Professor and Mary Ann.
Yeah.
That's about all you can say.
Unless you were thinking about the original, when it was back in the black and white days, and it was simply, and the rest.
Exactly. And then we have Zac Efron, actor, High School Musical. He refused to do a High School Musical on tour because he said, if I have to hear High School Musical songs one more time, I'm going to jump off something tall.
Yeah. But he is a very, very good actor. We saw him.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I can't think of the name of the movie. We saw him.
I don't remember what it was.
It opened up the
good
Phoenix
Lord.
Film Festival a couple of years ago.
He was frightening.
He was
Just
terrifying in that movie. He
Yep.
was so good.
And then we have Zach Noe Towers, a comedian friend of ours. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counselors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
I'm still waiting. Uh-huh. There, no more, unless you play it again. Don't you
Exactly.
dare. Don't you dare. And, oh, no.
If you are
Back away from the iPad slowly.
exactly.
This is our feedback segment. And actually, Gregory Ash is not in this week's.
I know.
Because, well,
I know, but it's
He
interesting.
seems to think he will be.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I didn't get the notification for his comment until earlier today.
Oh.
So it will probably show up in next week's, or maybe the week after that.
But you got mentioned anyways.
But oh yeah, you got to mention, Greg. How do you like that? But anyway, this is our feedback section, and
yes, we are monsters.
yeah, we are monsters, and we all the issues, not issues. Good grief, you totally derailed me. All
That
of
was my
these-
job.
yeah,
I quit. I'll see you
yeah,
later.
mission accomplished. All of these items that these feedback comments come from will be featured as links in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. Oh,
You got geek.
let's just start this thing all over again, please.
Okay.
No. Anyway, regarding new sushi. Oh, no. Yep, people, it's live. Ouch. That's going to leave a mark. Regarding News Sushi number 103, morsels of news from Japan and beyond, got a comment from Grape Japan on Twitter. And they said, thanks for featuring our article, of which, of course, Hamish Downey was extremely happy. And then I got a comment from John 3. He left this on our website. And he says, I will now be following you. This was fun. So, of course, the question that I've got now is, are you going to be following just New Sushi, or are you going to be following us as well? I don't know. I have no idea. And then we got now regarding TG Geeks episode number 293, got a comment from, big time contributor of ours, Andrea
Yes,
Richoff. She says, thank you for the birthday shout out. It was our pleasure. And then we got a comment from Katie Edwards. Oh, I love this because we ran his very first interview last week as our very first rerun. And he says, I'm scared to listen. It was my first podcast interview ever. I only remember that Keith and Ben were amazing. They have these voices you could listen to all day, and they made me feel so welcome. But it was still my first interview ever. Let's hope I aged well. Well, then he finally listened to it, and it came back with, you guys brought out the absolute best in me. That's why I love you. You rock.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Thank you
That's cool.
so much. And then we got a comment. This is regarding Things We Dig by Pia Thrasher to premiere at Screamfest LA. We got a comment from Pia Thrasher herself. She says, "Thank you, guys." And then Black Cart, you bat wings, live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Icons. Yeah. Anyway. Yes. And then finally, regarding Arizona Opera launches its reimagined season with virtual studio spotlight series October 2nd, got a comment from Joseph Spector. He says, "Thanks, TG Squared Studios, for the Arizona Opera love. Hope you can tune in tomorrow to Arizona Opera on Demand." And that is our feedback for this week.
And if you want to leave a comment like these folks have, you can do that on our webpage at tggeeks.com or on our Facebook page, TG Squared Studios or TG Geeks. You can look us up there. Also, our YouTube episodes, Twitter, Instagram, and anywhere else that you find us and want to comment. You can also leave us a voicemail if you would like. You can call our listener feedback line at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as you always, please play nice. You lost your way. I lost my way long time ago. We are huge supporters of independent creators, if anybody hasn't noticed that. Whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, others, we want you to support those independent creators, especially during these times where the convention scene has disappeared for 2020. A lot of folks really depend on those conventions to kind of make their yearly quota of things that they sell and stuff that they do. Otherwise, they may not be able to continue to do it. Look them up. Find their web pages, find their Facebook pages, find their Instagram, find their Twitter, find their Etsy pages, support them and talk to others about them, chat them up too. You'll find that some of them are really amazing people and really like to talk with their supporters. Please consider supporting independent creators. There we go. Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV and AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a place where the clients can go pick out food that they want, and it's set up just like a grocery store, and it empowers them to choose the food that they want so nothing is wasted. Please consider supporting them either through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift. Go to jtfp.org and make a gift there. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
We need to see about getting Mark back on the show.
Yeah, we've got to really work on that, because that one time we got to interview him.
Oh my gosh,
years ago. Years ago.
My
God.
4 years ago, practically.
Yeah, it was such a great time. We had such a great time chatting with him.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Anyway, second segment. So we started rewatching Grimm, for starters.
Yeah. It's really fascinating to see it and to mainline.
Well, this
first part.
There are some shows that I think are very much deserving of rewatching, because Grimm is a great example of giving you a lot of information. There is so much world building that takes place throughout the entire series run.
Well, and setting this whole arc thing up in the very first episode.
From the key.
Yeah.
and how one arc directly leads into the next arc, into the next arc, into the next arc, and that's all part of the world building. It's absolutely amazing. So there's a lot to be said about rewatching Grimm and just mainlining all the way through it, already having some kind of a vague memory as to how it ends.
Yeah.
And now to watch the clues, look for the clues now.
Exactly.
To see how they play. It's kind of like, putting another puzzle together or something like that.
Exactly.
I'm very much enjoying it.
Oh, yeah. It's
Lots of fun.
And then we've continue on with our Star Trek Voyager watching. And we just watched an episode that kind of led you down a
very unusual path. The episode was Vis-a-Vis, and it featured Dan Butler, who is another out gay actor, and he played the really chauvinistic, almost misogynistic sports DJ Bulldog from the TV sitcom Frasier.
Yeah.
And as I was watching this, and as I was reminded that Dan Butler was in it, I immediately went back in time and thought, well, hang on a minute. Voyager was in production at Paramount Studios at the same time, at least at that time, as the sitcom Frasier was in production.
Yeah, and practically next door, just on the other side of the
other side of the studio a lot.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you could in fact, the studio, or at least it's sort of like, it's a backlot.
Yeah.
Not backlot. It's a soundstage. That's the word I was looking for. There was a soundstage where they were tearing apart a set.
Yep.
I remember that for an episode we haven't reached yet. And if you were to walk directly west, and there's a main road, you were to walk directly west, it would take you to the soundstage area where Frasier was being shot.
Exactly.
And there were, why do we know this? Because we were there.
Yeah, we did Paramount. We did three.
I think we've done 3 tours. Three tours, I think, of Paramount Studios.
Of Paramount. It's always a lot of fun to go to Paramount because there's a lot of history there. Just
that one, I think, is my favorite.
Yeah,
that was my favorite tour because we went there as part of it was our wedding anniversary, and excuse me, and we decided we're going to take a tour.
Yep.
So, and we did the tour the very same day. We were going to actually try and get into a showing of Frasier.
Yep.
Because we were regular watchers of that show. And, gee, I mean, who doesn't want to attend a live TV taping?
Exactly.
I mean,
and we got in.
Well,
and this was the Thanksgiving episode.
It was the Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got so many wonderful memories of that entire day because this was a walking tour. You didn't get on any carts and we're taken all over the place.
Yep.
We walked everywhere.
Yep.
And you and I were like the only English-speaking people in the tour group.
Exactly.
I mean, there were a big group of Japanese and some Germans.
Yep.
And they did not speak English. And I felt so bad for our tour guide because she wanted interaction with us. Of course,
and it was always us.
It was always us. But we're nerds at the same time. So it wasn't hard for us to say, "Oh, I recognize this," and that kind of gave her material to kind of start up a dialogue with us. And then I remember afterwards we got to go into the gift shop, which you can only go into if you do the tour,
right? Because
the gift shop is inside the studio, and Paramount is really secretive about that kind of stuff. And we actually got to sit down with her and chat with her a little bit, and mentioned how we were trying to get into. We were on it was a standby list.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, hang on a minute. I'll get you guys," especially when she found it was our anniversary. "I'll get you guys in. My boyfriend handles the seating."
Yeah.
So she calls my boyfriend and says, "Okay, these 2 guys, Ben and Keith, guarantee them a spot."
So
we did. I mean, we got there early. We were still first in line, and they line up just outside the studio walls, outside next to this very nondescript door.
Gower. Yeah.
On Gower. And then finally, they open up the door, and by the time they did, the line was ridiculously long.
Yep.
But somebody came out and then saw that we were on this list, and we immediately went in and we bypassed all these stops, and we got in.
Yep.
And
it was great.
It was fantastic. And Frasier was at that time, I think, Paramount's highest watched sitcom that had a live audience.
Yep.
So getting into it was next to impossible.
Well, it was also the same tour that Terry
Yes.
Farrell was walking down the.
We got to see tech rehearsal for Becker,
Yep.
of which she was a part of, and we saw Terry Farrell kind of off in the distance. This was post DS9 years.
Was walking right toward us.
Yeah, and then we also got to
see Ted Danson.
Yeah, we were
having his
like
lunch.
8 feet away, watching Ted Danson. He was reading something while he was eating his lunch, and we were all very respectful. I mean, oh my God, the things that we saw on that tour.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I was the best studio tour that we've ever been on, and my only regret is that we did not have TG Geeks going as a podcast at that same
Right.
time. God, I would have loved that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure we could have parlayed something out of that.
I hope.
But holy
Yeah.
moly, what a
You
great
never know.
time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe once the great pause is over, we can go back and kind of maybe do that again. And
Yeah.
who knows what might come out of that. But oh, that was such a great day.
And we've actually done Warner twice.
Yep.
The first time was much better than
First
the
time was
second
phenomenal.
time. The second time it's like, oh my gosh.
It felt like any other cheapo
become
studio
a-
tour. It was just just a gimmick,
And
which I found
then
depressing.
We've done the Universal VIP twice.
I think did we do that twice? I thought we did that once.
I think we did it twice.
I know we did two tours. The very first time we went there, we just did the generic tour, and I know we did a VIP. Oh, you're right, we did do it twice.
Yeah, I mean, well, the last time was the VIP. The first time was not. I don't think they had the VIP, but it was a specialized tour. It was different than the regular, tram.
Yeah,
tour.
that's right. We have done Universal 3 times. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I only remember the VIP. That one was really good
Oh wow, yeah.
because we saw some phenomenal things there. I mean, and that's the kind of tour that I like to go on. Unfortunately, there's
to go in one of the prop.
got to go into a prop
storage.
house.
Yeah,
we actually got to go into the set for. Oh my God, that TV series that was on Fox. It was about a tabloid magazine.
Oh shoot.
It was like Trash or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
something-
some really weird name.
Yeah.
I can't remember now, but
Yep.
that was great fun too.
It hadn't premiered.
Hadn't
yet.
aired yet. No.
Yeah.
We couldn't wait to actually
Yeah. What
go
was
on
the
that.
name of that? Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Sleaze. I mean, it was like a one-word title.
Yeah.
Sleaze, trash, garbage. I mean, something stupid
And actually
like that.
got to get off the cart or the little tram that we were on, the small tram, at the Bates Motel. And,
Yeah, really got to take a lot of photos. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you ever have a chance to do a specialized tour, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, if you're a film and
Yeah,
TV
if you're a real TV or film buff, and shell out the extra dollars because then you're going to get the specialized treatment, and it is so much fun. Like on the very first time we did Warner's, we got to go into the Foley room while they were working on an episode of Gilmore Girls.
it was wonderful.
That was so
That
fascinating.
was fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've got the time, and if you're going to be in Southern California, shell out the extra dollars. You're not going to regret it because
Yeah.
we've had a
Well,
great time doing that.
When the great pause is over.
When the great pause is over.
Yes. And that's it for that section. On to the next.
And this is our weekly review where I go over all of the items and articles that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com this past week. And the links for each of these will be featured in the show notes for this episode number 295 at tggeeks.com. Starting with Sunday, October 4th, Nerdy Chupacabras number 16. On Monday, the 5th, TG Geeks episode number 294. On Tuesday the 6th, Screwball Noir Short The Hit, scheduled to world premiere at LA Shorts Fest. On Wednesday, October 7th, Fantastic Fest and Fangoria host watch party events for Welcome to the Blumhouse. On Thursday the 8th, Ben's Gay Breakdown. Hellbent delivers a decent slasher for Halloween. On Friday the 9th, New Sushi number 104, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond. I was so focused on trying to get the word morsels out that I just totally threw myself out of the game. Anyway, and then on Saturday the 10th, This God Made, hosted by Carlton Tetley, episode 10, Lady Cop number 1. Oh, no, I should say This God Made, hosted by Carlton Tetley, episode 10, Lady Cop number 1. I highly recommend it.
if you haven't watched This Got Made, the entries of This Got Made,
Oh my God.
oh my gosh.
And you really need to start with
really
the
need
beginning
to.
because
Yep.
there's an
It
arc.
just- yes.
There's a progression which definitely culminates in this particular video, and it was very funny.
Yep. And you can find all these things at tggeeks.com. And you're waiting for the sound.
Yep.
Where am I today?
In internet hell, that's where. And we have some shout outs that we need to make. First, through the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News, the human Arkle. That's Brian Weber. They Post Dispatch News. Sometimes he publishes our content, so that's where we like to give Arkle a bit of a shout out. Also, look for Arkle Studios on YouTube. Brian has a number of projects. His Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombie series, and his game videos of Trick and Treat, as well as Star Trek Online. We must also give some shout outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post all of our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours for allowing us to share away our content there. The URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then To the Gay Geek for also allowing us to share our stuff there. And their URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And as always, we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thanks, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. And listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can see all of our episodes and you can listen while you surf
Hear
the internet.
all of our episodes.
Hear all of our
They're
episodes.
audio.
Yes. As well as surf the internet on your device at the same time.
If you're not in internet hell.
Yes. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios in Internet Hell. I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself. Stay safe. Stay sane. Peace.
Curse you, Cox Cable.
Cheers.